People sometimes wonder what is it like to be an Aspie, and I've always got this same explanation. Imagine that you were called upon to speak to a large crowd. Most people, particularly those who don't have a lot of experience speaking to large crowds, become very nervous. They become anxious. They become very self-conscious. They're kind of beside themselves. All right, you have probably had that experience in your life, maybe in school, high school, whatever. You were called upon to give a speech in class, and you know that feeling. Now imagine you had that feeling all the time. That's what it's like to be an Aspie. Now, personally, I do very well when I'm giving speeches, or I did in the past. But it's when you are in those one-on-one circumstances, or it's when you're not in front of the crowd, but actually in the crowd, that you become anxious, you become beside yourself. It's really a time of stress. That's what it's like to be an Aspie. Now, number one is this. Why is it that Aspies have or seem to have so few friends? And it's because of that natural social anxiety. Number two is this. We have what is called learned social anxiety. So the first is natural because that's just the way we were born. It is innate. The other is one that is learned. Where do we learn it? Well, some Aspies learned it on the playground in school, where they were bullied. Some people find themselves being, even as adults, bullied because they are so vulnerable. They're open to being wounded. Number three, the reason that Aspies have few friends is because they tend to have very high expectations of what a friend is and what to expect of a friend. Now, if you are an Aspie, you probably understand this very well. That you are a person who is a good friend to somebody else. You are loyal, you are faithful, not just to individuals as friends, but to your employer. You are loyal to your family, your immediate family, even your extended family. You're just a loyal person. That comes with your, I think that comes with your genetic component, comes with your DNA. But there was a time where you rather learn to experience anxiety, and you have these high expectations that other people will respect you the same way that you respect them. Number four is because Aspies tend to be self-occupied. We have things that we are focused on, and when we're focused on that thing, whatever it happens to be, that's what we're focused on. No time for friends, or very little. Time for socializing. So you take all those components and you put it together, and you begin to get a picture of why Aspies are so challenged at making and keeping friends. Number five is they tend to be not only self-occupied, but they're highly focused. So if you have a topic that you're interested in, if you are an Aspie, you understand exactly what I'm saying. Now, you don't have to be an Aspie to be highly focused, but people with Asperger syndrome tend to be highly focused all the time, every time. There's always something on their mind. They're always thinking, concentrating on something. Few exceptions, I understand that, but by and large, there's some project, or there's some historical event, or there's something in biology, or there is something maybe in fashion. I don't know. There's a myriad of different things we could point to, but they pick out one thing and they find it fascinating, and they want to learn everything they possibly can about that thing, whatever it happens to be. Well, it's difficult to be that focused and have a conversation with someone else about anything else. So let's say that you're having, I don't know, maybe lunch with two or three friends, and they're talking about whatever, the sports, weather, whatever's in the news, politics, but you're thinking about this thing, whatever it happens to be, and you just sit there quietly while they talk, and somehow you manage to get a word in edgewise, and you mention, that thing, which they have absolutely positively no interest in, but you find it absolutely fascinating, and you just kind of expect they will find these facts and figures that you dole out to be fascinating as well. Nothing wrong with that. For example, you may have a fascination with with how to prepare particular meals. You're into the culinary arts, and you begin spewing all these things that you know, and the perfect way to make a hamburger. These guys are more interested in, your two friends are more interested in who scored the latest touchdown. So there's no real bonding there. That's one of the reasons it's so hard to make friends and to keep friends, because we are highly focused. Reason number 6 is Aspies. People with Asperger syndrome, sometimes, we just like to be alone. We like those times, those moments when we are all by ourselves and we can focus on the things that are important to us because we don't have the distractions of the guys talking about football or politics, unless we just happen to be interested in football and politics. But that alone time, that distraction's not there. So we get to sit alone with our books or with our computer, with Google, and we begin reading, and we're just as pleased as we possibly can be. We prefer it that way. Number 7 is we tend to be self-directed. Now, by that, I mean simply we like to go our own way. It's very difficult for an Aspie, for example, to take a road trip with other people because they have places they want to go, and they have things they want to see, and you don't mind going with them to see the things they want to see and the places they want to go to, but you have things that are kind of odd, a little bit different where you want to go, things that you want to see, and so you take off and go your own direction. Now, that is true throughout most of life. People have their career choices, and you've got yours, which is not always something that other people quite understand. I think that may be one of the reasons that Aspies find it so difficult to find and keep employment. You get a job somewhere, and you almost instantly figure out a better way to do it because you are organized. Aspies tend to be, they tend to have a knack for creating methods and ways of doing things that are more effective and more efficient. All right, try that at the workplace. You could be a tremendous asset to your employer, but they don't like that. They should, but they don't because, quite frankly, you make some people look bad. But yeah, we tend to be self-directed, and other people tend to travel through life in a tribe, or with a herd, or with a troop, or whatever you want to call it. Humans are social people, or social creatures, I should say. Humans are social creatures. We don't want to go our own individual ways all the time. Sometimes we do. A lot of times we prefer the company of other individuals. But Aspies, people with Asperger syndrome, they see the value, in social activities, but they don't value it anywhere nearly as much as typical people. Number 8 is there are just too few people like an Aspie. One thing we know about psychology is that one of many things we know about psychology is people tend to hang out with people like themselves. They prefer that. Now, if you have a family group, there is a bonding that draws them together and that they are in the same family. But what if they're not in the same family? What if they're complete strangers? Well, then you will find that they tend to group together by maybe age or gender. There is a group out there, what's that called? I think it's called the Red Hats. You ever heard of that? It's like these elderly women who like to hang out together and they wear red hats because it's socially unacceptable. So they are being social by hanging out together, and the thing that bonds them together is something that's not social. But anyhow, the point is there's this bonding that we like to hang out with people who are like ourselves. Nothing wrong with that. That's the way nature made us. But the challenge facing a person with Asperger syndrome, where are they going to find somebody like themselves? Well, if they do find someone like themselves, guess what? That person, being like themselves, likes to be alone. Very hard to make friends when the people that you could befriend don't want to be a friend, just like you don't want to be a friend. So why do people with Asperger syndrome find it so difficult to make friends? So difficult to retain friendships? All the above, but particularly there are just so few people like them, and when they do find them, I'm repeating myself, but when they do find them, they prefer to be alone, and so does the person with Asperger syndrome. Very difficult to make friends. Number 9 is this. I don't know who came up with this term, but it's been around for a very long time, and that is chemistry. We talk about having chemistry. I don't, that's just kind of a vague term, having chemistry with another person, but I think we all know what it means. So there's something that just clicks. But that clickable, that chemistry, is not always there with a person with Asperger syndrome. Sometimes it is. I mean, through my life, I've had a few very good friends. We had chemistry. My wife and I think we have chemistry. I'm not saying it's never there, but I'm saying it's very rare. Now, most people, they go to a job, or they go to school, or they go to the military, they go to church, wherever people gather together in groups. And almost inevitably, they're going to pick out one or more people, just naturally pick them out, that they click with. They have this chemistry. Typically, there's a group of people they just click with. They have that chemistry. But individuals with Asperger syndrome, that is not totally missing, but it seems to be extremely subdued. There are 2 rectangle boxes on your screen. Do you want this conversation to keep on going? We'll just click on one of those boxes and we'll keep on talking. On the other hand, if you're done, well, thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you next time.